Hello, everybody. Welcome to Devotion to Writing. Happy New Year. I want to encourage you today as we are at the beginning. We are at the beginning of the potential of everything of this year that we would wish for, that we hope to manifest in our lives, that you set an intention to make those things happen, because that is the way things manifest in our lives. They take our attention, our intention, and then our devoted action. So as that applies to our writing, I encourage you to set an intention if you want to write, to do it every day, to make it a daily practice. And that's what I want to talk about in this video today, is just setting those intentions, being devoted, cultivating your relationship with your writing, with your creative self, and practicing every day. So beginnings, they're rarely polished. They are attempts, they're tests, they're tentative, they're uncertain. And that's exactly what makes them so alive. They have us in them. They embody us. It is us on the page working, trying to give shape and definition to what is moving in us. And this applies to our writing, whether we're writing personal essays or novels or nonfiction even, that we are in our words, living in what we write. You know, the word essay comes from the French essai, meaning an attempt or a test. And this is something that was actually a style of this essay, was invented by the French writer Montaigne, that he actually retired from his life, his very public life, went to a tower that he had up on a property he had inherited from his father, and he surrounded himself with books, and he decided he was going to write, to discover really what he wanted to write. These essays were his attempts to put into language what he was feeling, what he was thinking about, what he felt life was about, to discover for himself meaning. So our beginnings are not declarations, they're not conclusions, they're tests, they're attempts. And so when you sit to write every day, if it helps to think about what you're doing on the page as an attempt to begin to shape what is happening for you and in you, you're not writing what you already know. You are listening, you're feeling your way forward, and you're attempting to give shape to something that is still unformed inside of you. And this unformed thing, for me, is this energy that brings us alive. It is our life energy. It is our creative energy. It is really at the essence of what we are. And then when we're experiencing the world, this is coming through us in very unique ways. And this is what I love to pay attention to in my writing. What is this that is moving in me, with me? What is working itself out in my life and then on the page? So writing begins always before the words. It is what we're carrying, what is moving us. It begins in the body, in our very aliveness. It's what's stirring, what is pressing, what is asking to be known. And the page is this place where we get to kind of work that out. What is it that we need to make known? So in that regard, it's not, the page isn't a place to perform. And I think this is what really arrests so many people when they want to write, is they sit and they want to begin, and they think it has to be already perfected, or a performance, or in some way have a shape. But really what we have to do when we begin is find its shape, find what we're trying to say. And this can be very messy. And again, this is where people get, I think, uncomfortable, is they think it shouldn't be messy, but writing is always messy at the beginning. So allow yourself to discover. You know, it's the first day of the year. So as I mentioned, set an intention for this year if you would like to write. Start today. It doesn't take long. You don't have to spend a lot of time with it, but just sit daily and begin to write. You don't have to write perfectly. Definitely don't have to write brilliantly. You don't even have to write coherently. But you do have to attempt it. And sit with yourself and just feel your breath, feel your presence here. Feel your restlessness even. Feel your wonder. And then put something small and honest onto the page. And that could be just a page of thanks. It could be a page of praise. It could be a page of looking out the window and describing what is in front of you. It could be a page of you closing your eyes and feeling what's inside of you. What the year for, what you hope for in the year coming, or what you are reflecting on from the year in the past. Devotion isn't about mastery, it's about showing up. That's what devotion is. And what I want to talk about is just these three components that I keep going back to whenever I'm talking to anyone about writing, and that is devotion, cultivation, and practice. So devotion is that first thing, is showing up again and again. It is making the attempt and trusting that over time something true is going to emerge through you. Montaigne, who I mentioned before, who's the inventor of this essays, these attempts that we know as the personal essay now, it is the essay or the attempt is just a spontaneous personal exploration of thoughts. He famously stated that when he was writing these essays, that I myself am the matter of my book. I myself am the matter, the substance, the object of my book. And in our writing, if it helps to think about that, whenever we write, we are the matter of our writing. So two other things then to talk about. Devotion is the first thing. Devote some time each day to your writing. Devotion is it's a surrender. It's tending to. It requires something of us. So it's a consistency. It's in service of. We often think of devotion in a spiritual terms that we're devoted to a deity, but it can also be devoted to performing a function. And in this case, I like to think of it as a function of writing, of devoting myself to showing up and being with myself and putting something, committing something on the page. And really that something then is something of myself. It matters to me. It's my matter onto the page. So set an intention to devote yourself to writing something little every day. Doesn't have to be a lot. If it's truly important to you that you write, then I know that you can find time each day to spend time with writing. 10 minutes. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a production. 10 minutes, 15 minutes of just you and the page is enough. If you have more time, that's great. And if you don't, just know that writing, even for that short time, just a few sentences, one page, right while the kettle is coming to a boil, or right while the sun is rising, or while your child is napping, that's enough time during your day. Again, if you can do more, great. But start with this, devoting yourself to just a little bit of time every day. And if you try to do it at the same time each day, that might help. It's certainly helpful for me. To do it, say, first thing in the morning before I get busy. The second thing is to cultivate your writing. And to cultivate means to grow or to tend. And writing is cultivating both the work, the thing that you wish to create or to make, as well as it is a cultivation of your relationship with yourself, which is the creative element in you. And we spend so much time distracting ourselves, busying ourselves, earning money, working, being productive, taking care of others, taking care of the things in our lives, that we neglect this most fundamental relationship that we have. And that is our relationship with what we are, our being, our isness. And cultivating then this relationship through writing is one way to do it. It transforms that relationship into an intimate one and a sustaining one. Because as I said, most of us are worrying about productivity or working or taking care of our responsibilities, and we don't devote and we don't cultivate time to growing this relationship with ourselves, with what is in us, with what we want, and I don't mean that in a selfish, egoic way as, I want to make more money or I want to have a bigger house, but just in being with our presence and letting what is coming to us in our lives grow out of that very quiet, still relationship with ourselves, because this in here is our ground. It is our zero, our refuge, and our strength. And writing is just a way I have found of being with this essential nature, this essential self, and sinking down into that beingness and feeling alive. And what a wonderful practice that is, to cultivate feeling oneself as alive, as the miracle that you are. So that brings me to practice. And practice. It's just, I love the idea, I love the word practice as it applies to writing, because it takes away that idea that it has to be anything perfect. When we sit to write, it is an attempt, it is a test, it is to practice writing. And then this way we build our relationship again with our creativity, with our creative nature, with ourselves, through this practice of just sitting, not to write perfectly, not to perform, but just to be quiet and still and see what comes each day. You don't need to know in order to write. You don't need to understand anything in order to begin. Just make an attempt, a test on the page. Have fun. Enjoy. Enjoy that you are the miraculous. Whatever you see, hear, feel, taste, touch, as well as what you can't yet quite feel, see, hear, taste, touch. What you don't know how to say yet, or completely how you feel yet, is yours too. All of these, both the sensory and the things that you can't quite sense, are yours. Writing is just that attempt, always, to say, to define, to discover what you are. And even if you're writing a novel, in a very real way, our characters are attempts to discover, they are attempting to discover themselves in the narrative, in the action, through the plot, right? I feel that very much in my own poems, that oftentimes what I'm writing in my poems are attempts themselves to discover what they're about. Your life, as Montaigne said, is the matter of the book, of the story, of the writing, of everything that you write. In fact, it's really your life, your essence, is the matter of everything in your life. It is what you are creating, and what is being created through you. So, as you enter this new year, devote yourself to your writing. If it's something you really desire to do, make a time every day and sit 10 minutes, 15 minutes, more if you can. Same time every day if you can. Begin to cultivate in that sitting your relationship with your writing, with your creative self, with creativity, with how your mind works, with how you feel, how you sense things. And then how you shape that into language and put that on the page. And then the practice of not just sitting, but then the practice even of writing a sentence, of writing a story, of writing a poem, of breaking lines, of developing characters. These are all part of the practice, in addition to, as I mentioned, the practice of sitting still long enough to get there, to be able to do your work, in order to still your mind, to enter into that creative space, that zone of creativity, and to awaken to the creative abundance that you are. So, I hope that is helpful today. As a writing prompt, maybe today you just set on the page a clear intention of what you would like to do, what you would like to get from your writing, or how you would like your writing life to look this coming year. I hope you write deeply today. As always, I know that if you do write, you will write beautifully, because beautiful is what you are. Blessings.